This is the story of a girl who has a rare disease and only has 1 year left to live. Despite this, we always see her happy because she wants to earn money in the remaining time to help and support the people she loves after she's gone. Alongside her, we are introduced to the male lead, whose name is Bai Zohu. He is her complete opposite, an immortal who has been alive for 100 years. He neither grows old nor dies, and in a way, he finds life boring. He wants to return to his normal form and achieve this goal by investigating something. He tries to find a workshop through a photo, but when the person, Dawu, sees him, he runs away. Bai Zohu chases him and boards a bus. Inside the bus, there's a special medicine, and as soon as he boards, Bai Zohu sits beside the person and asks, "You were researching in a hospital in 1999. What happened that you left everything and ran away? All the patients in that ward, they died. We still don't understand this accident, but it doesn't seem like a good person was involved. I've seen it myself." He then attacks the bus driver, causing all the passengers to get off the bus due to the danger. Bai Zohu tries to stop him, but the person is so powerful that it feels like Bai Zohu is losing. The bus crashes into the water below the bridge after a fight. After the accident, it seemed like no one would survive, but then we found out that the girl, Jin, was alive and taken to the hospital for a checkup where everything was normal. At the hospital, she meets her master, who is like family to her. She's very happy to see him and finds out that her master and she both have a strange connection. They used to work together in the past, preparing dead bodies for funerals, a job that few people do anymore. There, they witness something extraordinary. Meanwhile, Bai Zohu is still alive and has started a business, which has now become a large fashion brand. His family is wealthy, and the information we gather is that he's in a certain area and they need to rescue him. The girl is praying for him, and with her master, hopes that his journey ahead will be good and that he will get a new life, safe and sound. But where was he? He's immortal, and his body was in a freezer. As soon as his eyes open, his condition worsens. It is exactly 11 a.m., the time when Bai Zohu transforms into a devil. This was a huge secret in his life that no one knew, except for a few close people. Now, trapped in the freezer, there's no way out. But then the girl hears a noise and opens the lock, releasing his dead body, which slides out. He is stuck in the form of a devil, and as soon as he approaches her, he attacks. But as soon as he touches the girl, he returns to his normal form and becomes completely human again. However, he quickly transforms back into the devil. This situation is very mysterious for him, and he starts becoming uncontrollable. The girl manages to escape and tries to find a way to defend herself, but she is confronted by someone with a fake identity who, along with their partner, tries to knock her out before she can expose the truth. They head to a march and try to control the situation, but the man has already turned into a devil. They try to handle him with a special night tool, but he doesn't recognize them and starts fighting. The fight continues until he loses consciousness, and then they apologize to their young master for being late in the rescue. The bank's plan was to get rid of the girl and remove her from the path before their secret is exposed. But the boy, now a devil, refuses and says, "I am not threatened by her." When the girl recovers, she is confused, thinking it was a dream. But then she realizes that the boy's body has been taken by his family. Later, she notices a short circuit at the cake switch, confirming that it wasn't a dream, but what had actually happened the previous night. She takes the boy's name and address from the record and attempts to meet him at the company. However, it is such a large company that no one lets her inside. Frustrated, the girl discusses what she saw with a friend named Lanka, who suggests that maybe she is traumatized and what she saw wasn't real. However, the boy is fine and has resumed running his business. They are currently preparing for a fashion show at their company, and the girl suspects that she won't be able to escape the boy's attention. She believes that whatever she saw, he will follow her. On the day of the fashion show, the girl notices something strange. The body she saw did not have any signs that would indicate it was buried or dead. The color of the nails hadn't changed, and the body was not decomposing. On the day of the fashion show, the company is hiring many part-time workers, and the girl decides to join to complete her mission. Jin gets an opportunity to go up to the CEO's office in the lift. He is watching the CCTV footage and enjoying it, waiting for her to arrive. He had already planned to lock the lift and turn it on when it was around 11 p.m. At exactly 11, Jin enters the office, and at that time, the CEO starts transforming into a devil. He moves forward to attack Jin, but as soon as he touches her, his condition goes back to normal. It's now confirmed that this is the day his transformation stops, and she has to hold on to him so he doesn't transform again. Jin is calm, even though the situation is intense, saying, "I've already attacked you before, and you know this secret. No one can take you off my path." But the CEO replies that he doesn't fear death. Anyway, I have very little time left to live. However, Jin is happy because she thought he had died, but now knows he is alive. She tells him, "You can trust me. I won't tell anyone about you, whatever creature you are. I'm only doing this because I need your help. What kind of help it is, we don't know yet." The CEO, now fully human, sits calmly and talks to Jin, making her promise that she will show him the body of the person he's looking for. The next day, Jin keeps her promise and takes him to the body. The CEO carefully examines the body and collects some samples. He learns that the medicine the person had taken before dying gave him immense power. Jin then asks for a medicine that will bring her back to life from the brink of death. The CEO says he will give her the medicine only when she helps him first. He says, "Right now, you are fine. I'll help you later." After leaving, Jin is attacked by two goons, but before they can harm her, the CEO arrives and rescues her. The goons run away, but Jin starts bleeding from her nose. The CEO takes her to the dressing room to tend to her wounds. While dressing her wounds, Jin is astonished by his body, which is in amazing shape. The CEO says, "I'll try to find the formula that will bring you back to life within a year." He shares his phone number with her. Later, when the CEO's friend, Bai Zohu, joins them, he advises the CEO to stay away from Jin. "No one is trustworthy. Only people close to you can be trusted." But the CEO refuses, saying, "I have no fear from this girl. She's my mutation rock power, and that is what matters most." The CEO had decided that he would keep Jin with him every night at 11 p.m. to prevent his transformation into a devil. So, every night, they watch movies together. During one of these nights, just as he is about to transform, Jin holds his hand and tells him, "Don't let go of my hand." This can be called harassment, but Bai Zohu says, "Why would I harass a girl like you?" Of course, she wasn't of his status, nor did she have his kind of personality, but he needed her. That's why he paid her a huge amount, and in return, she had to hold his hand. The next day, Bai Zohu finds out from a friend that there's another doctor who's working on transplants. He goes to meet the doctor at the hospital, but suddenly the power goes out and the lift stops working. Jin somehow manages to enter a room where some research papers fall, revealing information about the disease she has. Just then, the doctor arrives, and in a hurry, Jin tries to open the door. She gets slightly injured, but the doctor is kind and doesn't scold her. Later, she goes to Bai Zohu, who tells her that she will have to go to the doctor at 11 p.m. again. She holds his hand, sits with him, and does her job. While doing so, she secretly takes a photo of him. After finishing her work, she's about to leave, but Jin says, "I need more than just payment. I'm not satisfied." She says something with a double meaning, but Bai Zohu replies, "If I can give you anything, it will only be money and medicine. I'm just looking for it." Jin, however, pulls him closer and says, "I need something else, but I'll let you know what it is later." The next day, Jin meets a girl named Lan, and when Bai Zohu finds out about her profession, he is happy because he thought it was a noble one, and such traits are rare, especially in a girl. Dr. Ling also knew that Jin didn't have much time left and asked if there was any wish he could fulfill for her. In her imagination, Jin goes on a date with Dr. Ling because she had never dated anyone before, and it was her dream to fulfill it. Later, at 11 p.m., when Jin is with Bai Zohu for her duty, she tells him, "I know what I need now. Would you come shopping with me? We'll go on a date one day." But Bai Zohu says that he mostly stays home and doesn't go out much. Jin insists, and Bai Zohu agrees because she had something he needed, but Bai Zohu starts to suspect her. He tells his friends that he's going on a date with her and feels she might be trapping him. He plans to investigate, and he finds that Jin had already planned something with her friend Lan. The next day, both Bai Zohu and Jin are shopping together, and at the mall, some agents show up. Bai Zohu is safe, but while shopping, Jin intentionally picks clothes she doesn't like, returns them, and takes a sample of hair from Bai Zohu without him noticing. He knows that during lunch, her friend is sitting nearby, and when they get up, Lan takes a cup from which Bai Zohu drank water as a sample. Jin has no idea that this was part of a plan. She was creating, but she had also created a plane that she brought to the Sirius Mall. This was their own environment, and at this time, she had all the footage from the security and other places in her hand. Red was the place where she had taken all the samples. The fan also followed her behind, and here we see that Jin's master had also arrived at the mall. To hide this, she takes control of Bai Zohu so that he doesn't see her. Bai Zohu lifts her up, and there's a romantic scene where, while hiding her, he sits her on a chair. Meanwhile, Fake is sitting with a little fear, discussing fund donations. During this time, she also secretly took the samples without the alarm going off. Jin was enjoying, but Bai Zohu had succeeded in getting all her samples back. At 11 p.m., Jin came again to do her duty. She was quiet and relieved, saying nothing. He was listening to old songs, which reminded him of old memories. He had been living with many memories for years. Jin had come out to listen to the music and had an accident. Bai Zohu got a little injured and started bleeding. His friend arrived and started bandaging him. Once everyone left, the two of them were alone. Bai Zohu then questioned Jin. "Did you do this on purpose? Was this accident a drama because you wanted my blue sample?" Jin denied it, saying it wasn't true. "Yes, I did try to collect your samples with my friend's help because I was suspicious of you." Actually, that night when Bai Zohu was having fun, Jin was attacked by two goons. These goons were not strangers, but were sent by Bai Zohu's team, and Jin recognized them later by their perfume. She realized that Bai Zohu and his team were suspicious of her, believing she was working for someone else, and she wanted to investigate. But it wasn't true. Jin was not working for anyone else. She was investigating because she suspected some suspicious people. She was also quite cunning and had blackmailed Bai Zohu with photos and stories that she would release to the public at the right time. Bai Zohu, although he wanted to attack her, could not harm her. Jin left, and Bai Zohu felt heart pain. He went away to distract himself but got sick. He had to be admitted to the hospital. It became clear that Bai Zohu was suspicious of Jin, but his heart told him that she was sweet and not dangerous. Later, it was revealed that an ambulance carrying Dawa's body had met with an accident, burning both the driver and Dawa's body. This accident seemed suspicious. One day, Jin went to a store with Dr. Ling, and they were eating ice cream. Here, she noticed someone secretly watching her, which turned out to be Bai Zohu. Just then, the bookshop owner arrived, and Bai Zohu was nervous, hiding behind a magazine, wanting to buy it. Bai Zohu did not pay attention to him. As he looked around, Jin stood behind him and caught him by the arm. She began demanding an explanation. Bai Zohu was a little worried because police were frequently coming to meet him, and they were investigating. He was concerned that Jin might reveal all his secrets to the police. After their argument, Bai Zohu went to a place where his men had captured a man. Through this man, they were trying to get to Dawa. This person had earlier created a fake ID for someone, and they were being questioned. They were asked to provide any information about relatives or others, and after a lot of torture, they revealed that they had a relative, possibly a doctor, whose fake ID was also created. Now, Bai Zohu sets out in search of this doctor. Next, we see the doctor arriving in March. He shares some information about his disease, mentioning that he had seen someone online with the same condition who had recovered from it. However, the hospital told him that there was a legal doctor there. He gets excited and gives some seeds as a gift. She jokingly asks if the seeds are for proposing to a friend with flowers, and he laughs. Then, one day, they both visit the hospital, where they learn about an illegal doctor. It turns out this could have been a risky situation, but they are told not to alert anyone as the police might be involved. After a brief search around the hospital, they go to the doctor. The doctor starts asking about his rare disease, and questions arise about the doctor's license and practice. This makes the illegal doctor suspicious. He also starts to get worried when he hears the name of the special person. He plans to take action, but is interrupted by Jin, who helps him escape. In the chaos, the doctor tries to escape by going to the rooftop, and a fight ensues. The doctor is pushed from the rooftop, and Bai Zohu arrives just in time to save Jin. Later, the doctor is under investigation for his connection with Jin's relative. Jin is terrified and is advised to keep her eyes closed and trust the people around her. As she falls, the horror escalates, but she survives. Her bones were shattered, and Jin's movements become zombie-like as he tries to fix his body. This sight scares her so much that she faints. When Jin regains consciousness, he faces someone nearby who warns him about the dangers of the situation. They advise him not to go near the illegal doctor or the hospital, as both are linked to dangerous organizations. Jin is also warned not to act alone again. Meanwhile, the illegal doctor is receiving encrypted messages about his research on a mysterious medicine, confirming that the earlier information was accurate. This research involves chemical experiments with potentially hazardous applications. The scene shifts to Bai Zohu's house, where everyone is relaxed and enjoying themselves until the grandmother arrives. Her mood is fierce as she scolds them for neglecting their responsibilities, particularly after a video showing a zombie-like resurrection performance was leaked on the dark web. She reprimands them for failing to manage the situation properly and reminds them of their duty to protect the young master. She emphasizes that they cannot afford to deviate from their mission. The girl who was with Jin is also mentioned as being hospitalized. A doctor, accompanied by his student, arrives and explains how he studies diseases, using the opportunity to teach his student. Later, during a walk, Jin thanks the doctor for helping him understand his condition. On Thanksgiving, Jin gives the doctor a gift with a note that reads, "Never lose hope in your life." Jin feels a deep sense of gratitude, as he has no family and relies on his friends for support. Jin had dreams of becoming a writer, and after a series of events, he attempts to escape from the responsibilities imposed on him. However, just as he is about to succeed, his grandmother intervenes. She berates him for trying to run away and insists that he must ensure Bai Zohu's safety, as Zohu is deeply entangled in business affairs. Jin pleads with her to assign the task to someone else, claiming that others are better suited for the role. But his grandmother retorts that Jin doesn't even know who the most qualified candidate is. Determined to enforce her will, the grandmother orders that Jin be the one to take on the caretaker role. Her men forcibly kidnap Jin and put him into a car. As they drive, Jin protests, insisting that he only wants to be friends and nothing more. Sensing an opportunity, the grandmother presses Jin about the incident he witnessed a few days earlier, when someone seemingly came back to life. Reluctantly, Jin reveals that this wasn't the first time he'd encountered such an event. It had happened twice before. The first instance involved himself, and the second occurred during his school days when someone named Chain was kidnapped. Jin recalls how Chain fell from a great height and was miraculously saved, much like Bai Zohu saved Jin's life. Later, Jin tells Dan that Bai Zohu's grandmother wants to meet her. When they meet, the grandmother warmly welcomes Dan and begins showing her old photographs, including some with Bai Zohu as a child. These photos reveal a tender side of the grandmother's past, including moments when she was a young girl, newly married, and experiencing happiness. Jin is surprised to see these snapshots of a vibrant life that contrast with the stoic figure she seems to be now. The grandmother shares how her life, once filled with excitement, gradually became stagnant, especially as Bai Zohu's life continued to evolve. She confesses that she rarely feels happiness or excitement anymore, but seeing Dan gives her hope. Jin listens as the grandmother shares her belief that Dan could bring feelings and emotions back into her life. To encourage Dan to stay, she offers her a lucrative deal: a handsome salary, comprehensive life insurance, and an advance payment to sweeten the arrangement. Jin is shocked by the sum, far more than he ever imagined. While he isn't motivated by money, the sheer magnitude of the offer is impossible to ignore, and he agrees. As Jin leaves, the grandmother remains unfazed, his newfound financial security giving him confidence. One night, Jin and Bai Zohu encounter each other in the kitchen while getting water. Both are tense, wary of an attack, and instinctively pick up kitchen tools for self-defense. That night, Bai Zohu, restless and troubled, makes so much noise that he prevents Jin from sleeping. The next morning, Bai Zohu takes Jin to a graveyard. There, Jin sees the grave of a girl who had died in an accident, his friend's girlfriend. Upon seeing her photo, Jin recognizes her as someone whose makeup he had done in the past. Meanwhile, a new character, Dan, is introduced. She had recently undergone a heart transplant and since then has been plagued by strange, vivid dreams. When she expresses her concerns to the doctor, he explains that some transplant recipients may experience residual memories from the donor, though these should fade with time. Dan, however, is curious and insists on learning more about her donor. The doctor, bound by confidentiality rules, refuses to provide her with details. Jin's presence in Bai Zohu's home becomes increasingly disruptive. The grandmother supports him, but the household is unsettled by his unusual habits. His culinary skills, for instance, often involve peculiar ingredients. Once, a turtle appeared in the kitchen, and another time, he was seen peeling something that looked like a strange screen. Bai Zohu was particularly horrified when a massive lizard suddenly appeared, presumably something Jin had ordered to cook. He started thinking that maybe they should get rid of her. He tells the grandmother to kick her out, but the guardians manage to calm him down. They decide to make her clean the house and do everything perfectly, and in return, she has to do many tasks. One day, while cleaning the door, she accidentally gave Bai Zohu a face pack, and this made him curious about the situation. Jin tries to explain to him gently that these things are confidential, but Bai Zohu doesn't seem to understand and gets frustrated. Meanwhile, Jin is becoming more relaxed as the money is working its charm on him. Bai Zohu, though, feels restless, and at night he sits near her and hears her explain that the information about the donor is kept secret so that the recipient remains calm. It helps prevent stress and the transfer of unwanted memories. However, Dan is curious and doesn't understand why she isn't being told anything. One day, she visits the office and meets Jin, but as soon as she leaves, she secretly plugs her flash drive into the computer, hacking into the system. She is actually a programmer, and this was all part of her plan. Later, Jin finds out that the girl whose heart was donated to her is named Mian. The next day, when Jin returns home, she discovers that Fake is showing a strange side, and the story they uncover appears to be a love story, which confuses Jin since there had been no indication of love in their past relationship. Dan has also started learning makeup from the blog detailing Mian's love story. Meanwhile, Jin becomes increasingly frustrated as she realizes the data has been stolen from the office. Feeling trapped, she realizes that Bai Zohu is the only one who can help her. At first, Bai Zohu doesn't listen to her, but he eventually agrees to help when she makes him realize that she's been neglecting her own appearance. He suggests that she take better care of herself and offers to help her improve her professional look. "You can avail of my services for free. I will even do your facial care and massage. You look so buttery now," he says. As Bai Zohu works on her, they look at her biodata and are shocked by the information it contains. The data suggests she was a certain type of girl, but she seems like a complete social butterfly instead. Jin is stunned by this contradiction. In the meantime, she notices a bridal cuff she really likes, and Ambaji personally helps her wear it, making her heart flutter. Later, they take some photos of Juice, as Jin had requested. It's probably the first time in his long life that Bai Zohu has knelt down for a girl. They're both sitting together when someone enters the office, and they quickly hide behind the sofa. Bai doesn't want anyone to see his softer side. Jin is the first girl he's ever opened up to like this, and seeing him laugh genuinely for the first time brings her happiness. On the other side, Hume's tension rises as she watches a man closely, meeting a girl in a casual, intimate manner. Every time a girl approaches him, he gets angry, his eyes turning red with jealousy. The jealousy causes him physical pain. The story continues with Bai entering Jin's office where he works. Upon seeing her with Dr. Ling, his jealousy intensifies. Bai doesn't understand what's happening, but he feels a strong curiosity. Jin leaves, telling Bai that she went to the graveyard just to place flowers. There, she meets an old man who reveals that he was a soldier and classmate who passed away. Afterward, she visits another grave, where a wicked woman asks if the grave belongs to his ex-girlfriend. He responds that it's the soldier's ex. Later, Bai lies down as though he's dead, contemplating the experience of life and death. He wonders whether anyone would forget him after death. Jin then reveals that her life has always been about loving her parents and her cars, but she has never experienced love or had a girlfriend. This surprises Bai. In this conversation, Jin suggests that since neither of them is normal, perhaps Bai should try dating her. The moment Bai hears this, his heart races uncontrollably, and he grabs her hand, returning to the coffin. Jin's master walks in, and Bai hides behind. Once the master leaves, Bai breathes a sigh of relief. That night, Jin's friend gives her instructions, saying that in the last 100 years, she is the first outsider to their family. The friend tells her not to leave Jin alone from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Jin had already planned to scare Bai away, knowing the girl would die within a year. She would have to play her part in the cycle again, just as their ancestors had. However, Bai has become more complicated. When he sees his brother, who has turned into a devil, attack Jin, things take a dark turn. Though his brother initially struggles, Bai helps Jin in a moment of danger. Bai, who has lived for over 100 years, admits that every time there's a change in him, it brings intense pain, as if every part of him is exploding. A flashback reveals that Cash Lee, once a soldier, had his wounds healed by a magical stone after a cliff fall. This stone led him to Fake's grandfather, who later became his guardian. Now, Bai sees Jin as his guardian, and she promises to help him bring change into his life. However, Bai is skeptical, believing he has less than a year left to live. Jin insists she won't give up and that they can find a solution together. Bai still resists, but listens to her as she comes from behind, claiming her right. "Please, listen to me," she says. He reluctantly agrees, and they resume their normal behavior when someone enters the room. The next day, Jin is seen sitting with others, and it's revealed that she has taken the heart of her donor and is now involved with her donor's boyfriend. She is about to confront him, but before she can, Bai intervenes. "What are you doing? Starting a fight with him?" "You're the one about to do it," he says. The situation ends with Jin declaring, "I will finish you both before your time comes." Meanwhile, during a conversation with Batten, Time reveals his wish to leave the city to escape the memories of Mian. This upsets Tan, causing pain to rise in her heart. Jin, accompanied by her friends, heads to Time's hostel to investigate further. It was found that she used to be a very sweet and kind girl who never fought with anyone. But now she hardly comes to the hostel and lives in a completely different world. She has undergone a huge change ever since her heart surgery. This was quite surprising for both of them. After that, we found out that Fan's company had conducted a research on their durations, and coincidentally, the head of the research was none other than Dr. Din. Now, they were doing a lot of photo shoots for Dr. Din for publicity. Jin had also come there, and she was in the same place with Fan. Both of them found out that they knew each other very well because Jin had left the city to escape. Fan was sitting there when suddenly someone came from behind and kidnapped her. Meanwhile, the brother was working on a task given by Jin and had reached Tan's room, where he saw pictures of Leon everywhere, exactly like she either wanted to kidnap him or was a serial killer. The brother immediately calls Jin to meet him and tells her something. Before Jin could reach there, it is shown that Leon had been kidnapped and tied up at someone's house. Now, Leon understands that the girl has a secret. Her heart now belongs to his ex-girlfriend. She warns him not to think that Mian is gone. Mian is alive, and her heart is still beating inside this body. Leon didn't understand how to free herself from this, so she pretended to say, "If you release me, I will confess my love to you." But Tan understood that this was just an act to deceive her, so she attacks him. At this point, it is revealed that Mian's soul was inside her. Thank God, Jin and Baiju arrive and capture her. They tell her, "You couldn't prevent Mian's soul from entering you. You didn't let yourself go. Your own life matters. You will live and sorry. But I can't love you because there was only one girl in my life, and she was here. You are not her." After this, Leon leaves the city. Tan also wants to change herself, and Jin helps her a lot in this. She even attends therapy sessions. Later, someone comes to meet Tan who truly likes her and brings her food. Then, we see another couple. These days, Fake has been getting closer to Dr. Lau, meeting him often and spending time together. But Fake may not be serious about this relationship yet. Then, we see a scene at home where Baiju and Jin are baking a cake. This was the first time Jin was celebrating her birthday. She wore a crown while having dinner. When the time came to blow out the candles, Jin says, "I just want to date someone, have a romantic relationship." Baiju says, "I think you don't like me. You're just considering me as an option because neither you nor I are normal." He was about to refuse, saying, "I don't see any sincerity in your feelings." But Jin replies, "I'm here for you. and you are just for me." To prove her feelings, she kisses him. It seemed like Baiju was also starting to feel something for her, as this was the first time he felt something for someone in his long life. After this happened, the next stage arrived where they both meet on the table, dancing, and as they look at each other, they are twirling around. Jin, in a loving gesture, goes and brings some breakfast for her. Meanwhile, Baiju had told her that the mysterious people who make medicines can be caught, and if we catch them, there will be a cure for you. However, if I fail, remember that I will take full care of your master after you're done. Next, we see that the place where Moss had his coverage location is busy with a new song on duty. The interesting part is that on the very first day, he saw a ghost, an old lady playing with her hair. When he saw her, he got scared. This news quickly spread among the Moss, and everyone started gossiping. Many colleagues even got scared. To escape this fear, the master says that today, he and his friend will go on duty, thinking that victory lies beyond fear. However, once they get there, they are so scared that at night, in the graveyard, they see the same auntie who was supposedly a ghost wandering around. In the rush to escape, they end up injuring themselves. Hearing this, the master got a fever and arrived late. Jin says she will go on duty the next night. Later, she visits Bai and spends 2 hours with him, sitting together. Today, she talks a lot, saying, "Look, I am a young girl, and you're over 100 years old. How can our personalities match? I'm a modern, fresh blue, and you're an old candy. That's how our relationship keeps going." The next day, when she goes to work, she finds 3 retired people sitting in front of her. They try to stop her from going to the graveyard at night. One of them, who had been removed from the guardian's duty, starts talking negatively about her. He claims that she is only using sweet words to manipulate people, but that she will never date anyone or sit with them tonight because she has already been assigned to work at the cemetery. That night, while on duty, they managed to catch the ghost, only to discover that it was not a ghost at all, but a woman sent by the hospital to observe a grave that belonged to their husband. Thus, the ghost story ends, and the credit for solving it goes to Link and Jin. Later, when Jin returns, she finds out that Brother Yu had set up a chamber around himself to avoid hurting anyone. He knew this day would come, but he was happy to see Jin and Time arrive on time. The next day at the hospital, we see Dr. Arjun and Jin sitting in the garden, where Jin, who is fond of gardening, tells him many things about flowers. As they talk, things get a little tense because Jin, who had been the guest, didn't know whether her illness would be treated or not, and she was worried. At this moment, Bai gently pats her head in comfort, but someone records the video. The video ends up showing Brother G, making him think that she is playing a double game. He thinks she is keeping him around while secretly wanting to be with Link for the money. This makes Brother G very upset. As soon as Jin returned to her room that night, she wanted to sit with him and play a game, but Bai, who was still quite off, kept talking randomly, changing topics and giving sarcastic remarks. He was asking her many questions about the details of her day. At this point, Jin asks him, "Are you asking as a boyfriend or just as a friend?" Technically, they weren't officially a couple yet, but Bai, who was still in the mood of a boyfriend, acted just like one. So, Bai directly asks her, "Were you with Lee today?" Upon hearing this, Jin gets angry and says, "There is nothing like that between us, and I told you directly that I only want to date you. Why don't you trust me?" They start arguing loudly, each giving back-to-back answers. Listening to their fight, those sitting inside are happy, hoping that after this fight, Jin would leave the house and the old guardians would return, bringing back peace. In the heat of their argument, Bai locks himself in his room. It's almost 11 p.m., and Jin starts worrying about him. But tonight, it seems that the situation will remain unresolved because he was too angry. The next day, when Grandma finds out about their fight from the night before, she takes Jin out for coffee and tells her, "I think you're doing a great job and you've touched Bai's heart." But Jin says, "I feel like we don't understand each other." Grandma replies, "What's so important about understanding? I still don't understand my husband completely, but our time together has been good." Jin tells Grandma, "I don't understand if Bai truly loves me or if I'm just someone he needs." She seemed very confused. Grandma tells her, "Please don't complicate things. Bai's life has been very difficult. He has tried to commit suicide many times, and his heart often aches. The pain is so intense that he wanted to die, but even death didn't come. So, he kept trying to ease the pain by breaking his bones or causing himself some other pain. Grandma then tells Jin, "When I was with him, everything was fine. But now I've seen that this pattern won't work in my generation. What I see in you is that you can take care of him, and that's why I've placed him under your protection. Now, you must lessen his pain and take care of him." Jin realizes that Bai's life is a disaster, and he has suffered more than anyone should ever have to. Bai also feels a great deal of pain when he recalls the argument and Jin's words, "I'm just a necessity for you." He feels that to save himself from this pain, he might even take extreme actions. In the middle of this, Jin comes to him and comforts him, telling him that she truly loves him. She isn't from a noble family, but her feelings are genuine. She apologizes for making him angry and ignoring his feelings and pain. However, Bai still doesn't trust her, so she reassures him, kisses him, and this kiss makes Bai believe in her love. He forgives her, and they decide to work together to heal each other. Later, we see Fan, a non-serious character who has had several girlfriends. When his ex-girlfriend confronts him at a party, she tries to figure out who his current dance partner will be. Fan mischievously names Jin, causing confusion and leading to more drama. Meanwhile, in the office, Baijo meets Dr. Ling for the first time. Baijo views him as a romantic rival because of his connection with Jin. Dr. Ling's polite and modern demeanor makes Baijo suspicious. The situation becomes awkward when Jin accidentally walks in and sees them together, leaving her embarrassed. The story then shifts to the office, where preparations are underway for an upcoming event. Grandma keeps giving Jin tips on how to win Baijo's heart, while Baijo focuses on work. A celebrity is set to visit the company for branding purposes, but she insists on inspecting the store and dresses before making any decisions. In the meantime, Baijo becomes deeply engrossed in mysterious medical research, which ties back to events from his past. He recalls meeting a first love in 1935, a singer whose songs he adored, but who he could never be with. The memory of seeing her at her funeral haunts him. The story ends with glimpses of a charity event organized by the company, where characters navigate professional responsibilities, emotional dilemmas, and unresolved tensions. Baijo's journey of healing and his connection with Jin continue to unfold amidst these complexities. A woman was sitting there, and the treatment was very expensive, but there seemed to be no improvement in her condition. At this point, another lady came to her and said, "My husband was in the same situation, but I got him a cheap medicine from a clinic in the mall. After taking it, he completely recovered. You could try it on your mom, too." The daughter of the sick lady brought the same medicine and started giving it to her regularly. Meanwhile, at the company, when the model arrived, she seemed less interested in the dress itself, but more in the sleeves. She was provided with descriptions of various types of interesting dresses. Around this time, it became evident that a young man named Baijo had arrived at the company. Elsewhere, Jin met Ziyu, who appeared to be completely healthy. It seemed like her cancer was healing, which was very mysterious to Jin. Later, around 11 p.m., Jin arrived and played a song, one that was connected to her first love. She and Baijo started dancing as a couple. Jin didn't know how to dance, so Baijo lovingly taught her. Many sweet and romantic moments between them were shown as they enjoyed each other's company. The music they played could be heard outside, spreading joy. However, some people, including Baijo's fans, were skeptical of Jin. They felt she might leave Baijo heartbroken if she ever left, causing him pain. Later, it was revealed that the sick lady, who had cancer, had been discharged from the hospital as she was completely cured. Jin secretly stole the medicine the daughter had been giving her mother to investigate its effects further. Things took a darker turn when the lady, whose mother was cured, began showing odd behaviors. Sometimes she would cook a bird in the form of a stew, or at other times, kill a neighbor's barking dog out of anger. One day, in a fit of rage, she even attempted to harm her own daughter. Fortunately, Baijo discovered the harmful effects of the medicine just in time. He intervened, stopping her and saving the daughter's life. Jin then explained to the daughter that she had been trapped in a scam. The lady who had suggested the medicine had done so intentionally, as they wanted to use her mother as a part of their experiments. Meanwhile, the model insisted on meeting Baijo to discuss her contract. She invited him to a luxurious restaurant where membership was limited to elite individuals. Baijo informed Jin about this, which left her anxious and jealous, as her boyfriend was going out with such a big celebrity. Jin didn't have membership to the restaurant, so she couldn't enter. At that moment, she noticed Dr. Ling, who also had a membership to the restaurant. She contacted him and asked for a favor, expressing her wish to dine there. Dr. Ling, wanting to fulfill her wish, accompanied her to the restaurant. Jin didn't have a branded dress, so she creatively turned her nightgown into an elegant outfit to attend the dinner. Jin had modified her outfit in some way, but when the doctor noticed this, he approached her and draped his own coat over her. Meanwhile, Baijo didn't arrive alone. He brought along Chung and Fan with him. Jin, while searching for a private room, eventually found them. There, she witnessed the celebrity engaging in sweet conversations with Baijo. They were on the same wavelength, laughing and chatting together. Even the waiter seemed to be commenting on their interaction. Seeing all this, Jin felt a sense of inferiority and jealousy. After finishing their meal, everyone left the restaurant. Outside, when Baijo saw Jin with Dr. Ling, he became furious. Everyone else left, leaving Jin and Baijo face to face. Baijo was so angry that he didn't even want to speak with her. Baijo didn't accompany Jin home. Instead, when he returned, he scolded her, especially after noticing that she was wearing Dr. Ling's coat. In his anger, he pulled off the coat and threw it away. Jin became very emotional and confessed, "Grandma told me the whole truth." She revealed Baijo's secret. If Jin were to pass away, Baijo planned not to live either. He intended to find a painful and tragic way to end his own life, possibly completing the attempt one day. Jin got angry with him, saying she would never want him to stop living or being happy after her. She warned him, "If this is your plan, then let's break up right now." Their argument ended in a breakup that night. The next morning at the breakfast table, they continued to argue, bickering over small things like who would leave through the gate first. They even pushed each other in frustration. Fan advised Baijo, "Look, I've had so many girlfriends come and go. Don't take this to heart. It's not a big deal. Focus on your career." Fan also mentioned that a celebrity had requested Baijo to be her dance partner for an anniversary event. Despite his anger, Baijo agreed, realizing he needed to move on from Jin. Later that evening, Jin seemed upset, and although it was 11 p.m., she refused to give Baijo any attention. Fan advised Baijo, "You don't have to hold her hand or make any physical contact to reconcile. Sometimes just being present is enough." Following this advice, Baijo reached out, and while near the water, he let his foot lightly touch Jin's. This subtle moment helped them reconnect. The next scene shows the doctor taking Jin out for lunch. During their conversation, Jin admitted, "I do have a boyfriend, but we've been fighting lately." The doctor seemed to hint at something, leaving their interaction open to interpretation. "I'll be honest with you. I like you and want to spend my life with you. Whatever your decision is, I can't stop myself from liking you. Even if you choose to end our friendship because of this, I'm ready to accept it. But I've told you the truth." Jin responds, "If it's about being my boyfriend, I reject you. But as a friend, I never want to lose our friendship." Hearing this, Ling feels happy and says, "Then we'll continue to be friends." As they talk, Jin shows him some photos on her phone, and at that moment, Baijo happens to see them together. Seeing this, Baijo feels a sharp pain in his heart, as if he's losing something important. He confronts himself, questioning, "Why can't I have a normal relationship like everyone else? Why can't people like me have the right to be happy?" Meanwhile, Jin goes to her friend Lan. While sitting together, Jin suddenly experiences a nosebleed and her condition deteriorates. Thinking about how few days she has left, Jin decides to spend whatever time she has happily with Baijo. She resolves to attend the anniversary party. Jin visits a store to select a beautiful dress for the party, where she meets her grandmother. Her grandmother helps her style and prepare for the event. Jin looks stunning as she steps out for the party. At the party, Ling is standing with Baijo. When Baijo sees Jin with Ling, he becomes furious. He begins a couple's dance with another partner just to hurt Jin. Heartbroken, Jin starts dancing with Ling out of anger. Watching this, Baijo can't handle it anymore. His chest tightens and he collapses. Jin rushes to his side and he recovers, but she drags him outside the party, scolding him. Jin confronts Baijo, saying, "I got ready like this only for you, and yet you partnered with someone else. My heart is small and fragile. It breaks like glass. You hurt me so deeply." Baijo tries to explain, but Jin refuses to listen. In frustration, he kisses her to calm her down. Later, it is revealed that Baijo had overheard Jin talking to Ling and discovered that the misunderstandings were all caused by Cheng Yi. Realizing the truth, Baijo decides to reconcile with Jin, and they patch things up. The next morning at the breakfast table, the atmosphere has completely changed. Both Jin and Baijo are caring for each other. Baijo, once irritable, now behaves gently and respectfully. Instead of pushing each other at the gate, they smile and step aside, letting each other pass. Ling is astonished to see a sudden change in the weather, while Baijo bids farewell to Jin lovingly. He then speeds off in his car, seemingly trying to escape his emotions. Meanwhile, Jin speaks to a doctor about a mysterious medicine that has been administered to someone she knows. Later, she informs Baijo about her plans to volunteer at a camp for organ donation alongside Dr. Ling. This makes Baijo uneasy, but Jin decides to go regardless. At the camp, Jin interacts with an officer named So, whom she had been in contact with since a prior incident involving some medical progress. So's blind son submits a form specifying that his father's eyes should be donated to him in case of any mishap. Later, So receives a strange call that leaves him angry. Distracted and upset, he gets into a car accident with a truck, leaving him critically injured and hospitalized. In the hospital, a woman confronts Jin, accusing her of being in contact with her husband through frequent phone calls. The woman suspects her husband is having an affair with Jin. She also reveals that the blind boy is not her son, but might be her husband's illegitimate child. She is suspicious because her husband adopted the boy, yet the truth remains unclear. To protect Jin, Baijo sends someone to help her, but things become more complicated. The woman insists that Jin is not just a random person, but possibly the one behind the mysterious activities surrounding her husband. Meanwhile, Chang appears, pretending to be Jin's boyfriend to diffuse the tension. This leads the woman to sarcastically question how many boyfriends Jin has and why they're all seemingly trying to rescue her. Jin counters, asserting that she is capable of saving herself. Back at home, Jin discusses with Baijo the officer's request for his wife's signature to donate his eyes to his son. However, the wife is unwilling to cooperate. Baijo suggests using force, but Jin opposes the idea, fearing it will escalate matters. Jin tries to convince the wife herself, but fails repeatedly. Eventually, the wife reveals the truth. Her husband had been investigating a mysterious medicine that she found in his pocket. She suspects someone poisoned him with it. She fears that if his organs are donated, the recipients may face complications. Additionally, the wife has been receiving threatening calls, warning her to stop her husband's investigation or risk ruining his reputation. While she doesn't want her husband to die in disgrace, she is torn between protecting his legacy and ensuring justice. To solve the major issue, Bai uses every possible resource and uncovers information about the child. However, he is unsuccessful. When Mrs. Su arrives, she provides Jin with all the details and explains that the report confirms there were no additional problems with the child's body except for the accident. It is also revealed that the child's organs can be safely donated. Additionally, she reveals that the child's real parents were someone else. He was actually the son of Officer Su's senior, and he had only been adopted for support. Hearing this, Mrs. Su feels ashamed and signs the necessary forms. Later, Jin apologizes deeply as she feels she had failed in giving proper care. Jin also expresses suspicion that the mysterious drug dealers might be responsible for Officer Su's death, given there was no number plate on the truck and other evidence was unclear. The next scene shows Officer Su's funeral. During the funeral, Mrs. Su imagines herself at her wedding ceremony with Officer Su, as their marriage was registered, but the ceremony was never arranged. When she steps out, she notices Jin with some of her brothers and jokingly remarks that it seems like one of them might be her real boyfriend. Meanwhile, Baju discovers it is actually his real birthday. He had always avoided celebrating his birthday because he felt it marked the passage of another year closer to his limited time. She explains that Dr. Ling is a good man, but she heard that the flowers were used for experimental purposes and were taken from someone else's field. The next day, they go to Dr. Ling's to talk, But after hearing his explanation, Baju becomes more suspicious. Dr. Ling insists that he has no link to the mysterious medicine, and the flowers are from a farming professor. Afterward, they visit Dr. Ling's secret room, where he shows them a stone. This stone was from an accident years ago, and a piece of it got embedded inside Baju, which gave him healing powers. Baju wants to touch the stone, but something prevents him. He says that if he touches it, he might transfer the power to others, which could endanger his own life. Baju's time is running out, and he has to make a choice. Jin tells him, "I thought I would see you die, but now it seems like I might be the one watching you die." To protect Jin from radiation, he sends him outside and sends a photo to Grandma, who is happy to see Baju, but doesn't realize that Baju's life is in danger. Baju decides to touch the stone, which causes extreme pain and radiation to emit from his body. He loses consciousness. Later, when Jin returns, he finds Baju unconscious and is confused about whether he is alive or dead. Meanwhile, Dr. Ling is seen stealing the stone with a devilish smile and leaving the place. When Baju regains consciousness, he discovers that his healing powers are gone, and he has completely changed. All of Baju's diseases were gone, and he could now live like an ordinary human. When they tried to leave, both Dr. Ling and the village were nowhere to be found. They feared that Dr. Ling might have been kidnapped. Then, Baju receives a call from Dr. Ling, who says, "What you wanted, Baju, you've got. And what I wanted, I've got. So don't contact me anymore." We then learn the reality about Dr. Ling. He was from a village where the unique meat was found. When Baju had fallen onto it, the meat broke, causing many problems for the villagers. People who touched the stone would get sick, and this disease started spreading through their veins. Dr. Ling had conducted numerous illegal experiments trying to cure his people, but he was arrested for it. Now, he wanted to fulfill his grandfather's dream of saving the village, and he had been making drugs and conducting experiments to do so, with the help of his partner. Meanwhile, Jin also realizes that the disease was connected to his father, who belonged to that village. So, Jin and the others set out to find Dr. Ling in that village, which had changed drastically. The village was deserted, and a mysterious gas began to emit. As they breathed it in, Jin and the others fell unconscious and were kidnapped. When Jin wakes up the next morning, he finds himself in a cave. As he looks around, he gets closer to Dr. Ling, who brings out a flower and says, "I was waiting for you. I knew you would come." Jin understands that the experiments caused many deaths, and he wants to leave. But there's a boundary that prevents him from leaving. Just then, Chan arrives and helps Jin by destroying the boundary. Chan tells Jin, "I've made arrangements. The entire village will soon be submerged in water." The group tries to escape with their lives. They manage to reach a mountain, where Dr. Ling is also present. He helps them climb up. With the destruction of the meat and its effects, Baju says, "What I needed, I've got. Whatever days I have left, I want to spend them happily." The group returns to the city, where Jin undergoes an operation, and it seems he will recover completely. Dr. Ling is arrested by the police. Baju visits him, and later, in the next scene, we see that Baju and Jin are getting married. Jin's disease is completely cured, and the story ends with a happy conclusion.